All right. It is actually the 4th of July, and an update on where everything is. The base of the Pondless Waterfall continues to get filled in with rock tetras. As I don't want to ever have to weed, I am cleaning the rocks before they get placed in so that there isn't a lot of accumulated, earth and matter that weeds and seeds can grow in. And the waterfall itself is doing very well. Very pleasant. I'm using the BioBlack, the antimicrobial, and a little bit of an algicide, trying to ensure I don't get string algae. But it's a chemical experiment, figuring it out. So, and of course, Cricket is wandering around, trying to find the snake that shed its skin that she found the skin. So, yesterday she cornered a groundhog. It's a wildlife adventure for her every day. So, the pollinator bed is doing really well. Everything is up, happy. Bees and other insects are rather happy in there. Love that all the various echinaceas are up and looking pretty. The Joe Pye weed, which is supposed to be the small version of it, apparently ate its Wheaties this year. But all of the butterfly bushes in there, which are all dwarfs, are doing well, and lavender. I'm going to be pulling the chives and redoing it. I had quite the aphid issue with those. Lavender is still going strong. Bees are not quite as abundant there at the moment, but they've got a lot of other things to choose from too. But they certainly have been enjoying the lavender. I hate to cut it back because this is quite the source for them. The small little butterfly bushes I put in are starting to come up and bloom, which is good. I'm going to cut back the catnip today, the nepeta. Need to trim and allow the basil to rebranch. Again, the Suncredible sunflower, and then the helianthus, which doesn't bloom until like August. The little vermilionaires are doing really well. I haven't actually seen hummingbirds at them, although I've seen them on the scarlet runner bean flowers. And then my pot of sage is happy. And then everything's doing really well in the front beds. Obviously, the rosemary is enjoying itself. Strawberries are good. That was my the seed starting and a couple of transplants. The ones I had ordered just didn't do anything that came in bare root. And this was my mature transplants, which have been just abundant and throwing out a lot of runners. I'm trying to get them all contained. Obviously, the grapes are doing well. See, they're going to exceed their frame. I've already extended it on one side to give them a little more room. I need to tuck that one up. Go inside in a minute. I have been trying to solve the jungle problem for the tomatoes. And I was much better this year. I gave fewer plants, a lot more spacing, and yet I'm still in a jungle scenario. So, rather disappointing. And I've got my Captain Jack out and the Thuricide, the BT. I saw a fall armyworm earlier this week. Hate those things. But those are what actually went after my tomatoes last year. Didn't have any problem with hornworms last year, but it was those armyworms. It's really unusual for them to show up in June. So I've already been beating a little bit in the evening, and then I've got the Captain Jack out just in case I need it. The Japanese beetles are really going after the grape leaves, but they don't seem to bother the grapes themselves. So I did give them a bit of a Captain Jack the other evening, but I noticed birds are hitting them too. So between the two of them, hopefully Japanese beetle population is going down. Inside, I have the bean arbor going with bush beans at the front that we have been picking regularly, and then still waiting for oh no, and I say that, and I do have some. So, and then of course the bees and the hummingbirds love these scarlet runners going around the top. So that's all good. I brought in 8 cucumbers yesterday, and I can already see in here I've got a whole bunch more that I'm going to need to bring in shortly, so they're happy. The onions are doing really well. I did look up when to harvest them because they're all getting pretty big, but as you can see, the tops are still very green, and so there's no drying yellowing indicating it's time to harvest. I may pull some anyway for dinner. Back side of the tomatoes, I have been trying really hard. I started the Florida Weave. It didn't it didn't solve my issue, and of course I only did it really well for a couple of rows, and then it just became stringing them in and containing them. So I pruned them really heavily this week, trying to get them at least staked up, but I have lots of tomatoes, so that is a good thing. And then these are my indeterminates. I'm gonna, if I get to it today, hoop the top of these so that I can then train them to go over and down the other side. I don't know that I need them to, because again, lots of tomatoes. They're looking really good. Beautiful clusters everywhere. So I'm happy with that. The peas are about shot. They're better on this side since they get more shade than this side. They're just fried from the afternoon sun. But that's okay. Spring is when I get peas to harvest as dry seeds for an actual fall run. I enjoyed the pea pods in salads and stuff, but that's usually how I prefer to eat them. This is the backside of the long run of my peppers. I did overwinter 3 bell peppers and foolishly put them closer to the tomato run, so I'm constantly trying to give them daylight. But they do have some bells on them already. I see bells forming on some of my newer ones, which is awesome. We do love our bell peppers. So I do not have hot peppers. We don't like hot peppers. It's just the way it is. These are loofahs, and my God, it's kind of shocking. Gotta try to keep them somewhat contained because they just have gone a little crazy. And stay in your lane. But I was just complaining the other day that, oh my gosh, I have all these vines and I have no potential flowers, and then I saw a flower head appear. So looking forward to that. I think it's a long cure time for loofahs, so it's my first year doing them. We'll see. I have lots of eggplants, and eggplants are my sacrificial plant for flea beetles and Japanese beetles. So go after them. I watered my neighbor's garden last night. They're on vacation, and Japanese beetles are decimating their basil. So have at it. Tear up the eggplant. We are not big eggplant eaters, although the Turkish ones on their side are very cute. We'll see those in a minute. We've got carrots, and I have beets going on behind that. But the greens were looking really good until this week, so I guess maybe it's the heat and I need to start harvesting them a little faster. And it brings us back around to the backside of the onion row, which has a lot of leeks here. Don't really cook with leeks. It was an experiment. And again, the cucumbers are just insane. I only planted 3. Perhaps that is too many for a 4-foot wide cattle panel. They're growing up. So I guess next year there'll be fewer. As we come around, I'm actually going to pull out a few of the little Tiny Tim, Tom Thumb, whatever they are. They're just getting no light. So I'm going to pot those up later on today. They'll be fine in pots. I'll be excavating the back of this pile. I've got a Japanese maple that has been really ignored and neglected that we're going to put in this big pot. And it's going to be kind of the cornerstone on this side of the waterfall, and then there'll be a gravel path down to the fire pit area, and I need to continue to clean and place rocks. And then I'm also filling up the front loader of the Kubota, and I just drop off rocks over for the neighbor when I water in the evening, because she's doing a dry stack rock garden or rock wall around some seeding areas. I've got my row of Hasscaps, which are honeyberries, and the ends and the middle are the same ones, and then the two inside cages are a different, larger variety. So eventually that will fill almost a nice hedge along here. I have volunteer lettuce going to seed. So here is the other side of the bell pepper and loofah. Oh, I have a flower. It's about time. And eggplants. And as I mentioned, the Turkish eggplants are adorable. Look at those little things. They're so cute, and they turn orange. They're adorable. And as you can see, there are some Japanese beetles. So have at it, you guys. Just leave my other stuff alone. I have peanuts growing, and there was actually a little bit of a flower on one the other day, and I tossed in a few celeriacs in here just to get them into the ground, because they've been in their pots way too long. But yeah, and parsley is here for the black swallowtail butterflies. By the way, this is one borage plant. Before the big winds and the storm this last week, it was like a giant pyramid going on here. I really need to cut it back. It's on my list. And the bees love it. So, And this is my seed bed. I've got perpetual spinach, kale, and Swiss chard over here going to seed. I'm going to have a lot of seed. So, as I joke, if we ever get into a food shortage, we will be having no problems with microgreens. I've got bush-style cucumbers that just refuse to get trained up that thing. These are doing okay. I've got 3 in this bed. I've got some volunteer amaranth here. Last year it was in the bed there, and so there you have it. None of my Love Lies Bleeding took over in the other bed, but it has self-seeded here. So my potatoes are dying back, which is good. I have hilled up, trying to ensure that none of the potatoes get, sort of the exposure to the sun. So I figure a couple more weeks, maybe it'll be harvest time. I think I put them in early April. So we're getting there. We're moving in the right direction. And then I've got a couple things going to seed in here. I have parsnips, and I've got some celeriac. So that was good. A couple of the celeriac seeds I'd gotten did absolutely nothing, and those did. So that increases my seed stock for what I know will actually come, it'll germinate and become a plant. So the kale is huge. The broccoli did well, and sort of the same thing. I've got some in there going to seed, which is good. I have a white butterfly trapped in there, which pisses me off. Because the whole point was not to have them in there, because I didn't want, hang on, the viciousness of a human. So close. Land, you fucker. Land. Oh, I can't get to you there. That's a sneaky little butterfly. I can't do it. It's not going to give enough. Well, it might. Nope. Want to kill white butterflies. Protect all of my brassicas from the evil cabbage looper. So, well, I got to pull this off later on today anyway. Pull out some broccoli, do some other stuff. So I will see if I can't get it to go away, and I'll never find the seeds in the jungle, but I'll try. So, yeah. So, but this, aside from that, has been a successful experiment. What's funny is you can see they laid the seeds. If I can zoom in over here and get to it. They lay their seeds on the outside of the screen because they can't get to the plants. And then there's the start of a cabbage looper over there. Gotta go kill it. Because, you know, that's what we do if we actually value our plants. So I'm coming for you. There you are. And you know what's going to happen to you? Death. There, that was easy enough. Oh, now you're on the other side. Get out. Know what I can do? If another one flies in, I will like freak out. Oh, I see a hole. That's what happened. I have to patch. Nope. Go to freedom. Get out. Leave. There you go. Well, now I know how. I have to patch it. And I have to actually do this side. So I finally finished putting on sort of permanent ties on the other side. So gotta do this side. And by permanent ties, I mean actually doing ties as opposed to just working with the Velcro, which was a good first idea, but it wasn't the solution. Our winds get too bad here coming off the Blue Ridge for us to be able to rely on those. And then at this end, like I said, I've got a hole right there. I'm sure that's where the little bugger went in. I'll patch that. And then here's the amaranth. The back row may have had an issue because it's like field mice or something decided that might make a good home. So I had to put out a lot of Molmax. But the cranberry amaranth, which is supposed to be a shorter variety, did well, and it's up. It's more there for aesthetics than anything. I haven't really fooled with doing anything with the seeds that come off of them, but you know, it's a learning experiment. Someday I'll be better at actually using all of my harvests, but like for right now, the beets I pretty much give away. My husband doesn't even want them in the house, as he puts it. And then in the distance you can see I've got some apple trees. We just uncovered them because of the cicada brood that was just tearing up all the trees around here. That's all the brown leaves you see. And then we had 6 in here. They're doing well. And so I'll bring those 3 over to join them shortly. And then my citrus, the Meyer lemon didn't do great, but the key lime is happy as a clam. I still have a little bit of celery that I should put into the ground, and then my ginger that, again, it's an experiment, seems to be doing pretty well. And that is the state of the garden on the 4th of July 2021. You know, ending with the pleasant sound of the pondless waterfall. Very happy with how that has come out. Just need to finish the rocks and the pathway up. And then it's just gardening for the rest of the summer. So, we'll check back in August.